guys, this is Nick here with Wazoo Survival Gear. I'm hoping you can hear me alright. It's kind of an impromptu video on the way home. I pulled off the road and set up now just a little ways off. There's a walking trail that goes by here, so you might hear some people going by. But I was on my way home. I rode my motorcycle today, so I don't have a whole lot on me. It's a little bit warm. Hoping this won't take too long. This is my first philosophy mentality type video. It's being done in response to Roger Fandrick's video that he shared with us on a Facebook page last week, I believe. And it'll kind of be a response or a companion type video for that. He hit on a lot of topics that really make sense and some things I want to elaborate on a little more. So I've got a cheat sheet here to try and keep me on topic, and hopefully I don't start rambling too much. But the big thing that he covered, I'll post his video link down below, so go ahead and watch his first before you start watching this one. But the big thing that he covered was the wants versus needs. Kind of talk about kits versus a minimalist type situation. So we'll start off taking a look at the capabilities. The bigger survival kits are going to have a win in that area. They are useful. They're much larger. You can fit more items in them, so you can prepare for a larger variety of situations. A lot of survival, though, comes down to how well you can improvise. How do you make up things that you need? How can you make new tools? How do you make shelter? And some of those things can be replaced. Instead of carrying a tarp, maybe we have just some twine instead to tie up a shelter instead of the technology and the luxury of having those other items. Let me pause this for a minute. Hey, I went ahead and moved a little further back in the woods, try and get set up somewhere else. People kept giving me the stink eye walking by, wondering why I was sitting on a guardrail talking to myself. So came a little farther back in here. It's a little cooler too in the shade. So anyway, so we're talking about the capabilities, and of course the larger kits are going to win out there. You got more space to put more items, prepare for more things. It kind of leads into the practicality of it, though, and how often you're going to have a kit with you. It kind of makes sense if you're going on a backpacking trip to have more stuff with you, but again, it depends on your circumstances and your situation. So backpacking, you're going to be isolated. You're going to be back in the woods, maybe by yourself, maybe with others, but you'll be secluded from modern living, modern life. And in that, if something goes wrong, you are in more of a self-reliant situation. Now, day-to-day life, if my motorcycle breaks down, if I wreck and I end up in a ditch somewhere, big deal. Somebody's going to drive by, somebody's going to find me. Now, I do carry some other items that I always keep. I've got a small whistle on my keychain in case I ever, end up with broken ribs or something, and I wouldn't normally be able to yell or get that air capacity. Maybe that whistle will save my life. But it's interesting how small items can actually make a huge difference, and that's the whole mentality behind wearable survival gear. They're practical. You can wear them on a day-to-day basis. Some people wear the everyday carry carabiners that have a lot of items on those. Now, that's not exactly work appropriate for me, so I chose not to go that way. I know some people that do carry those. Now, there are also the over-the-top, in my opinion, that people carry survival bags with them on a daily basis. That's a bit excessive if you're just going to the grocery store or something like that. So there's all these trade-offs, and it's trying to find a happy medium for you and your life and what you're interested in, how you feel about things. Now, we can't always go around prepared for a zombie apocalypse. Nobody's carrying shotguns and stuff everywhere they go. But at the same time, there are certain circumstances that may be applicable. A survival bracelet's not going to do much if a meteor impacts the world and we got mass chaos and all that going on. So there's preparations that can be made at home to help you and your family, and there's certain things you can do, certain mentalities you can have that allow you to be better prepared yourself. Some of the scenarios to think about are, the situation I'm in right now, going to and from work. There's not a whole lot in my life that can go wrong with that. I live in a city. It's big, it's overpopulated, and I'm lucky to have areas like this where I can get a couple 100 yards away from people. So in that aspect of it, there's not a whole lot that I would end up in a self-reliant situation anywhere in between work and home. The good thing is I get in the habit of putting this on every day. This has become something that never leaves my side. I've got a watch, I've got a bracelet, and I've got a pocket knife. Those are my 3 key things that I take with me every day, and my wallet, of course. So all that stuff, I get up in the morning, put my pants on, put that stuff on, and I'm good to go. It just becomes that. It's always there with me should I need it for anything. Let's say I need it for something other than survival, okay? Maybe not to the extent of some of the stories you'll see on other web pages, but let's say, I just feel like going fishing one day. On my way home, I want to go down to the lake and fish for a while. Well, I've got it. I've got it right here. If I ever want to do that, no big deal. I also have one of our other new products that's soon to be released. This little guy. We're going to call it the Bite, and I'm going to make a couple different versions. One is a keychain, and one is a zipper pull. That was its main intention. But it's got 10 feet of fishing line, a sinker, and a fish hook. So, just little things like that. Maybe it's not survival. Maybe it's just going out to practice your skills, which in itself is a big deal. We can talk about the gear versus skills debate of it. There's always going to be this next new piece of gear. It's going to be bigger and better than anything you have, and it's going to be able to... What that was? Something splashing in the water. But it'll be bigger, better, it'll make your life easier, it'll make survival easier. But if you don't have it when you need it, or you're in a situation and let's say you used it once and forgot to put it back in, and now you're out in the woods with your kit, but you don't have your one main item. That the more skills you have, the more you can do with the less you have, the better off you're going to be. And it's good to get out. It's good to go back to the basics. Like Roger was saying, think about what people did back when. I was just reading the other day about the expeditions to the South Pole. 900-mile trek over entirely frozen land, and how do they even do that? It just blows my mind. But I'm not saying completely turn around and go live a frontier lifestyle, because it's all about balance. There's a difference between skills and a change of lifestyle, and I think what I'm trying to come up with is a way to incorporate both. We don't want people to have to change to be safe, but at the same time, we don't want people not changing at all to the point that there's people that wander off and get lost and die when all they needed was a compass. That could have saved their life, or one tiny little instrument could have changed the fate of this person and their family and everyone that it's affected since then. Being on a search and rescue team, I get to see this all the time. Where are you? I don't know. What direction you're heading? I don't know. These lost people have never been found. They had phone calls with them. They had GPS tags on their cell phones, and they still could not find them out in a 6,000-acre wilderness. It's ridiculous, some of the stuff that happens, but any small instrument, even the enough practice to start to feel comfortable in the woods. If I get out and I get turned around, which has happened before, it does set in panic. Your initial reaction is to panic, but knowing what to do, knowing how to go about it, and having those skills to rely on and come back and say, okay, well, I've done this before, I'm not worried. If need be, I'll spend the night out here. Calm down, take a minute, figure out what's going on, and use what you have to your advantage, and you'll get out of it. The biggest thing is that people, they panic and they try and walk away. They try and find their way out. and they think, oh, it's just around the next turn, and then the sun goes down and it starts getting dark. Oh no, I'm almost there, I'll keep going. And that's when people die. And then we got some people out in the woods there. But I'm rambling, so let me see here. He mentioned that his best ideas come from having nothing, and I think that really hits home for me. And they have the old saying, necessity is the mother of invention, and I 100% believe that. I spent over a year unemployed. I got laid off from a job and spent a year, just living off of my wife's salary, kind of scraping by. And from that, I started looking at, well, I want to get into this survival type stuff. I want to find out how to be self-reliant. I don't want to have to need a job. And from that, I kind of, I couldn't afford to buy any survival items that I kept seeing. So I started to piece together, what are some multi-purpose items? What's the cheap do-it-yourselfer survival kit? And started looking at that, and it kind of pieced together into, well, I don't want to really just carry around fish hooks in my pocket and stuff, so how can I incorporate that into something useful? And from there, it's kind of grown into what it is now. Find items that you can repurpose, things with multiple uses, and we try and include all that in every kit we build. I mean, not just us, but any survival kit you're looking to make. Maybe you're putting together your backpacking kit or something, and you want something bigger or something better. And some of us get into gear overload, where gear is good, and like I said, there's always that next good thing, that next best thing, and it's the greatest invention since sliced bread. And, there just becomes a limit of how much you're going to use it, what it's there for. I mean, there's no sense carrying saws and axes and machetes and everything. They all, have their own specializations, but it seems insane to carry all of it. So if you have items that are multi-purpose, you can carry a lot less and do a lot more. And I'm guilty of this myself. I realized just on a recent camping trip this past weekend, we were going camping just in a campground, and we were just car camping pretty much. So, sure, throw it in the car. What's it matter? I'm not carrying it. Throw it in. We'll see if we need it. Something. And by the end of the trip, we had the car loaded down, and half the stuff in there we didn't even touch. Oh, hello. Here's a little. Woo. Well, I was going to show you that. There's a snake sneaking up behind me. That was a little exciting. I'm trying to stop this wobble here. So I was really impressed with his 24-hour survival video that he did just with his bracelet, and it was great to get to see that and see what you can do, and I hope to do more of that myself. We've been busy lately with search and rescue calls. I'm working full-time and trying to start up Wazoo Survival Gear and get that going. So with everything that's going on, we're staying super busy, and I do hope to start doing some scenarios, maybe a 24, maybe a 48, and see how far we can go with, the minimal supplies that we have. And then I'd like to be able to, just go out and test and do more of that. That's what I enjoy, is going out and testing and proving that this stuff works and that it is functional. I don't know where that snake went. But yeah, it's great, and it all comes down to, again, the skills, and the less you have, the more you'll develop those necessary basis skills. Now, I'm not saying go out with nothing, because that's stupid, and you may end up in a worse situation. But if you are one of the people that has a big kit and you want to start getting into this other stuff, go out with your big kit and, let's say, put a lock on it, put a zip tie or something, and you're not allowed to get into it unless you really need it. And just start taking that kit and weaning it down smaller and smaller and smaller, and allow your items that you take to decrease. And eventually you'll get to the point where you're more self-reliant. And it's not to the point that you need to go out and make natural cordage. I don't ever plan to do that, which is why cordage was one of the big things I wanted in here. I've got 20 feet of fishing line and about 8 feet of paracord. So with that, I've got enough cordage to make a shelter or lash together a raft or some of the simple things that you need cordage for, set snares, go fishing, anything like that. And cordage takes a long time to make. It's a very tedious skill, and that's not something that you're always going to need. And again, the same goes for friction fire. There's a lot of skill behind that. I've tried a few times and failed many, many times. And if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have the right types of wood, it's not as easy as just rubbing two sticks together. Every time I do it, I end up with blisters and smoke, and that's about it. So, it's one of those things that I go out and I practice and I try, and that's what tells me where I need to improve and what alternate items I need. So I've always got a ferro rod in here, I've got a ferro rod striker, and I've got cordage. Those are my big things that I want with me. If I need a blade, this is stainless steel. I can try and sharpen that on a rock and get an improvised blade that may be as good as, knocking some rocks together to shear off a blade. Because here in Texas, we don't, well, Houston particularly, we don't have a lot of the hard rock or anything, the flint or anything like that to actually make the blades out of. Alright, so I think that's enough rambling for today. We'll see what kind of footage I have to put together. Can't even remember half of what I said anymore since I've just been talking to myself. So after snake attacks and people giving me the stink eye and all that, I think I'm about to get out of here. But stay tuned. We're going to have some more videos soon. I'm hoping to get out this weekend and make up for the lack of video I got while I was camping. Sorry about that. But, too much socializing and having fun and not enough going out by myself to make videos. So we'll try and get some more stuff out. And web page is coming soon, as long as I can keep that going. It's a busy life, but, it's the end goal that I'm looking for. So while you're out there, keep up your skills, and we'll see you in the next videos.